Welcome back. In this episode, we'll take a cruise. After sneaking aboard the cargo ship disguised as Shinra soldiers, we're on our way across the ocean to a new continent. The disguises are pretty funny, from Barrett's ridiculous sailor outfit to Red 13 waddling about the deck with his tail out, trying not to fall down while walking on 2 feet, giving this track its slightly ridiculous title. The music itself is also not particularly serious. The first thing we notice is the jaunty, comical, and slightly unstable feeling this track gives us, thanks to the jumpy rhythm. Then we get to the main melody, which we've heard before in the track Oppressed People. So, why does this melody reappear at this point? Well, the most obvious similarity: in both situations we are disguising ourselves in a humorous way to fool someone. That's why I would call this the disguise motif. The track mainly continues along those lines until we get to this part. This is a sort of bridge, and it's my favorite part of the song. It sounds a bit more serious than the rest. To me, this section emphasizes the journey aspect of this chapter in the game. In conclusion, I like this track a lot. It's lighthearted and funny while somehow still conveying the sense of embarking on an epic adventure. Speaking of lighthearted and funny, this track is none of that. In fact, it's the very opposite. This might be the creepiest track on the entire soundtrack. I don't know why I sound so happy about that. The title, Trail of Blood, says it all. We usually hear this music when Sephiroth has left, well, a trail of blood in his wake, which happened in the Shinra building, and it's happening now on the ship. The music fits very well, the whole thing just sounds off-kilter. This is due to several aspects that we often hear in horror soundtracks. A quick detour before we get to those aspects. We talked about the mood technique and sensory music before. Just a quick reminder, this is a theory in musicology that is concerned with the effect that certain music has on the audience. My first example was the track Hurry, which gets an emotional response out of us by using a ticking clock and a fast-paced rhythm to create a feeling of urgency. This track uses different techniques to a similar end. Alright, let's actually talk about how this track manages to make us feel anxious and uncomfortable. First of all, this song does not follow traditional patterns, either in rhythm or melody. The percussion is almost used randomly, and the melody is atonal. Another typical horror element are those sudden breaks and the loud percussion hits. And finally, the use of effects. There is a lot of reverb and distortion in this track. We can also hear this song in the Cave of the Gi under the Cosmo Canyon later in the game. Now, this is not a track I listen to, for fun, but in the context of the game, it's pretty much spot on, because it accomplishes exactly what it needs to. On the ship, we get our first real glimpse of Sephiroth. After a brief conversation and some general bewilderment, get used to this formula by the way, Sephiroth vanishes and we fight Genova and get another track. As I said before, this game has so much battle music, even Genova has 2 different tracks. This track is played on most encounters with her, we'll get to the 2 exceptions later in the series. The song starts off with these fast arpeggios and, I'm gonna be honest, a pretty awesome beat. The track's main melody is very simple and straightforward, which is great because it creates a wonderful contrast with the busy and slightly chaotic rhythm section. Another section I really love is this part at the end. This part sounds almost heroic or even hopeful in a way. I guess that's thanks to the major key. Interestingly, Genova has another, completely different battle theme near the end of the game. That one is called Genova Absolute, and it's got absolutely nothing in common with this track. I'm serious, it's got a completely different melody, different rhythm section, it doesn't even have the same key or time signature or tempo. This really threw me, it's so untypical for Uematsu that I'm still kinda doubting myself, as if I missed something really obvious. If I did miss something, tell me in the comments. This song also plays during the battles against Hojo on Disc 2. I like how dynamic this track is. It's perfect for a boss battle, especially a boss battle against a mysterious and hardly explained entity like Genova. And that was it for part 13. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for part 14.